Hello, I'm Esther Githui. Welcome to Africa 54. Here's what's coming up. As gang violence escalates in Haiti, U.S. military airlifts non-essential embassy personnel and adds U.S. forces to bolster the embassy's security. U.S. voters prepare for a new round of primary elections on Tuesday, with both President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump facing no major opposition in their campaigns for renomination. And Season 4 of the Basketball Africa League tipped off on Saturday in Pretoria, South Africa. We'll bring you the highlights. All this and much more coming up on today's Africa 54. Muslims worldwide started Ramadan, some on Monday and others on Tuesday. In Nigeria, Ramadan started on Monday. Timothy Obiezu tells us more.
The holy fasting month of Ramadan officially began in Nigeria on Monday, following the moon sighting announcement by the Sultan of Sokoto and the National Moon Sighting Committee. Muslims across the country are expected to observe the Ramadan until April the 8th. But the Ramadan this year comes amid Nigeria's worst economic crisis in a generation that has sent food prices over the roof. In a post on X, the Moon Sighting Committee encouraged Muslims to offer special prayers for Nigeria's unity and peace during the Ramadan, and also called on well-meaning citizens to support those who are less well off. Last month, Nigeria's inflation hit its highest level in 3 decades, 29.9%, despite government economic reforms introduced last year to revive the economy. The reforms, including the removal of petrol subsidy and the introduction of currency controls, instead are having a devastating impact on millions of citizens. 2 weeks ago, thousands marched the streets to protest the soaring cost of living. But the high cost of living is not the only challenge here. Nigeria is also facing numerous security problems, especially in the predominantly Muslim north. Last Thursday, more than 200 school students were taken from their school in northwest Kaduna State by armed bandits, just days after hundreds of women and children were abducted in northeastern Borno State. Around half of Nigeria's population are Muslims. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu has ordered security forces to rescue the kidnapped victims and vowed to make the perpetrators pay. But until then, the Ramadan will be different for families of victims and for millions of others who can't afford food. Timothy Obiezu, VOA News, Abuja, Nigeria.
As Ramadan gets underway in Nigeria, many parents are anguished and in shock as a multitude of kidnappings continue to happen at schools in the northwest, which is dotted with Islamic extremists and armed gangs. Just last week, nearly 300 students were abducted from their classrooms in the remote town of Kuriga. For more insight on the situation, the chief of VOA's House of Service, Aliyu Mustafa, joins me in studio. Hello, Aliyu.
Hi, Esther.
What would you say is behind the latest spate of killings in Nigeria? I mean, the kidnappings in Nigeria.
Well, first of all, it is very easy to get around and kidnap people in Nigeria. The security agencies have been very lax. And the governments of the day, right from, in fact, the Buhari administration right to Tinubu's administration right now, there has been no indication whatsoever about the resolve of the authorities to take care of this problem, number one. Number two, the most frustrating part of this is the ease with which people in broad daylight come into a place like a primary school where little children as young as 3 years old are assembling in the morning. We all do this in Africa. We have this morning assemblies where we sing the national anthems and things like that. And then in a place like Kaduna, Kaduna has the highest concentration of military installation and facilities in Nigeria, with military training institutions, and most of the carnage that is taking place in places like, mostly in the northwestern part of Nigeria, is within a few kilometers from police and military installations. So in a spate of days, 701 people have been kidnapped, 400 women in Borno State, 287 students in Kaduna, and 15 students from my own Sokoto State. So the ease with which this is happening, that's two. Number three, the money. these people who are kidnapping these kids have become so confident that they're going to get paid big money. In fact, even the military people are getting kidnapped. It's so easy to just go into places, homes and institutions and take people away.
What does the government need to do? This has been going on for a very long time. Remember the days of, the Chibok girls with the Boko Haram. Are these new gangs not Boko Haram, or it's all a mix of all this? And then you talk about the military, you talk about the police and security, but they're not able to take care of that. Why is that?
People are seeing opportunities in easy money. All you do is take a gun that's probably fake and point it at some place, and people are going to run away, and then people are going to become easy targets. So people pay money willingly. In fact, communities and neighborhoods contribute money to pay kidnappers. And kidnappers know this. And there have been students who have been kidnapped for years, and they've been left to waste. Nobody has gone to do anything. And then there's this fear in the community to confront these people. And you must take note of the fact that this is happening largely in northwestern part of Nigeria, not just in the north, but in northwestern part of Nigeria, Kaduna, Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, Niger State, and others. This is not happening at all in the southern part of Nigeria. It's not even happening in some states in the north, like Kano, Jigawa, Bauchi, and others. I don't know what they are doing right to stop this from happening. I hope it doesn't happen there. But the fact of the matter is, politicians and even military people keep talking about what needs to be done, but we're not seeing it being done. And then, in contrast, when you see the large number of military and police personnel that are accompanying big people around the, ceremonial areas and situations, you wonder why these people are not being put into use. Nigeria still has less than 400,000 policemen. The country has almost 300 million people. How do you expect 400,000 police to police the country? That's not going to happen. And I think the kidnappers know this. Also, there's an element of corruption in this area. There have been allegations so many times about people, benefiting from the money.
Thank you so much, Aliyu, for
welcome.
Talking to us about this. Aliyu Mustafa is the chief of VOA's House Service. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Gutteres has released a Ramadan message for all Muslims observing the holy month of Ramadan.
Ramadan embodies the values of peace, resilience, and generosity. It is a period of reflection and prayer, an opportunity to come together and uplift each other. Sadly, many will mark these months while facing conflict, displacement, and fear. My thoughts and heart are with them, from the people of Afghanistan to the Sahel, from the Horn of Africa to Syria and beyond. And I wish to express a special message of solidarity and support to all those suffering from the horrors of Gaza. In these trying times, the spirit of Ramadan is a beacon of hope, a reminder of our shared humanity. Let us all be inspired to heal divisions, to support those in need, and to work as one for the safety and dignity of every member of the human family. May these holy months bring peace and guide us towards a more just and compassionate world. Ramadan Kareem.
U.S. President Joe Biden is marking the beginning of the Islamic holy month of Ramadan by extending his best wishes and prayers to Muslims in the United States and around the world. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. It involves rigorous fasting for about a month. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is meeting Monday with Caribbean leaders in Jamaica as part of an urgent push to solve Haiti's spiraling violence. Pressure is growing on beleaguered Prime Minister Ariel Henry to resign or agree to a transitional council. The United States evacuated U.S. Embassy staff from the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince, as gang violence escalated in the city and across the country. Haitian gang leader and former police officer Jimmy Cherizier is warning Kenyan troops against setting foot in the Caribbean nation. The gangsters last week freed thousands of inmates in 2 large prisons in the capital. They also warned Prime Minister Ariel Henry against returning to Haiti. Henry had been in Puerto Rico since returning from Kenya after the gangsters closed the main airport. Attacks by powerful gangs on key government targets began in late February across Port-au-Prince. Food and water supplies are dwindling as stands and stores selling impoverished Haitians ran out of goods. The main port in Port-au-Prince remains closed, stranding dozens of containers with critical supplies. VOA Creole reporter Jacqueline Belizer
has more.
The situation in Haiti got worse since 2 weeks because the gang members keep destroying institutions, buildings, including the two major prisons in Haiti. And right now the situation is getting worse and worse because the gang members want to get the power. We know Jimmy Cherizier, aka Barbecue, talk about revolutions, while a former rebel, Guy Philippe, former police as well, they want to get the power. In the meantime, the international community intensify many meetings with some political leaders just to have a solution so they can make the situation back to. So today we are about to have a big meeting in Jamaica. The CARICOM is about to have the meeting so they can find a good solution about the crisis in Haiti.
That was VOA Creole reporter Jacqueline Belizaire. For more on the violence in Haiti, joining us live via Skype is Joanna LeBlanc, a Haitian-American lawyer and partner at Adomi Advisory Group. She's also a former senior advisor to the Haitian government. Joanna, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Is it possible to control the gang violence in Haiti?
Absolutely, Esther. It is possible to control the gang violence in the Republic of Haiti. And the reason being is, like I said during the my last interview on your show, is that this crisis is not driven by an ideology. Rather, it is driven by lack of governance, by lack of political will, by the economic crisis that currently exists in the country, where you have a great number of people who are unemployed, you have inflation rate through the roof, and people are essentially living in misery and have lost all forms of hope, right? That's just the reality. But if the political will exists, we can overcome this, but whatever solution that exists, it must incorporate the current armed forces in the country. And the reason why I say that is because over the past few days, the situation in Haiti has further exacerbated. It has gotten worse. The gangs in Haiti have essentially formed alliances to work against the returning of Prime Minister Ariel Henry. And to be frank with you, if there was a political will by the United States or other partners of Haiti for Prime Minister Ariel Henry to return back to Haiti, it would have happened, because we saw that the United States have deployed military forces in Haiti to secure the U.S. embassy, and the U.S. has also lifted countless Americans out of Haiti.
But Joanna, given the reality on the ground, and with or without the outside forces that are expected to come and help out Haitian people, what would it really take to get Haiti back to where it's supposed to be?
Absolutely. I think right now what needs to happen is there needs to be some kind of transitional government. And that is the conversation that is being had with CARICOM, the regional body that is helping to lead this effort, and also here in Washington. So CARICOM was expecting to have received proposals from groups to help with the transitional government. And unfortunately, because of the lack of unity that exists among those political actors, CARICOM has received 4 or 5 different proposals, when in fact CARICOM was expecting to receive 1 proposal. So now is the time for these different groups in Haiti to come together, unite, and to provide a sound proposal on a transitional government in Haiti. Because the reality is that I doubt Prime Minister Ariel Henry is going back to power. But whatever transitional government that is put together, it has to be inclusive of all parties. In particular, it has to be inclusive of Lavalas. It has to be inclusive of Petit Dessalines. Those are two main political parties in Haiti that have incredible support by the Haitian people.
Joanna, it remains to be seen what really is going to take place in Haiti. Thank you so much for your insight into this report.
Thank you.
Joanna LeBlanc is a Haitian-American lawyer and partner at Adomi Advisory Group. Young people in South Africa could be the deciding factor in the upcoming elections. According to analysts, South African youth are not apathetic, but no longer believe that elections are the best way to bring about change. Mtoba Chapi, Regional Communication Officer for the Frederick Newman Foundation for Freedom, uses his platform to change this narrative and encourage youth participation in the upcoming elections. He spoke to VOA's Paul Ndiho from Johannesburg.
There's great excitement in South Africa, great anticipation with regards to the upcoming elections on the 29th of May. The date was only recently announced, so everybody is starting to get into the excitement mode. A few of the political parties that are going to be campaigning or participating in the elections have already launched their manifesto. There's a massive drive to try and get the youth to participate in these elections. And that's something that our institution is also working towards, to try and get young people to vote. There's a great importance of young people participating in these upcoming elections, because a lot of South Africans feel that it is the youth, high youth turn up that can really determine where the future of South Africa is supposed to go, is expected to go.
I was looking at some of the polls that are coming out of South Africa. It looks like a lot of young people are beginning to part ways with the ANC, largely because the ANC has been there for 30 years, but really it hasn't done much for the empowerment of young people. Could that be one of those things where a lot of young people are trying to distance themselves from the ANC?
A lack of youth participation in the country and how the country is run and how the country moves forward. And that's not because the youth don't want to take part. It's just because the opportunities are just not there. And that frustration has led a lot of young people not to want to take part in the democratic process in the first place. So they don't turn up to elections because they feel that there's nothing they can do to change what they're experiencing. But it's actually the other way around. It's them turning up to vote and deciding on who they feel is the right candidate, to listen to them, that can open up spaces that are going to create opportunities for young people.
What does it take really to listen to the youth and understand where they're coming from?
The challenge that the African continent has is that if you go to a General Assembly at the African Union headquarters, you're going to find a gentleman's club of old men. And these people who some would say are still living in a different part of the world. We, the young people, and I consider myself a young people because I am, are thinking about what's going to be happening in Africa in 2030, 2040, 2050. The consideration or the realization that in the year 2030, half of Africa's population is highly likely going to be urbanized. And, that means that we need to think about what we are going to do and to develop our cities, to develop our economies, to be part of the global process. And in that regard, they are out of touch, considered by many young people. They're out of touch of the realities that are faced by the youngest continent in the world in terms of a median age group. And that's the biggest problem. It's just that they don't see things the way that young people are seeing them. And young people are thinking about more than just tomorrow.
Mtoba Chapi is the Regional Communication Officer for the Frederick Newman Foundation for Freedom. U.S. President Joe Biden and his Republican political rival Donald Trump traveled to the swing state of Georgia over the weekend to hold parallel campaign events. The U.S. Veronica Balderas Iglesias has this recap.
American freedoms will be on the ballot in November, stressed President Joe Biden during a campaign event in Atlanta, Georgia. Ahead of the state's primary election Tuesday, he reminded voters of the track record of his Republican rival, former President Donald Trump, on abortion rights.
He came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. In fact, he brags about it. Well, he got his wish, and states are passing bans that criminalize doctors, forcing rape and incest victims to leave their states to get help.
But Georgia, Biden argued, can help shield women's reproductive rights.
Send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, and I promise you, I will restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
Trump also campaigned Saturday, but in northwest Georgia, where he strongly criticized Biden's recent State of the Union address.
Whether you are a Republican, an independent, or a disillusioned Democrat, of which there are many, all you had to do is watch that horrible State of the Union. Crooked Joe Biden talked about Ukraine before he talked about America. Joe Biden should not be shouting angrily at America. America should be shouting angrily at Joe Biden.
The former president also decried Biden's immigration policies, citing the murder of nursing student Laken Riley on February 22nd. She allegedly died at the hands of a Venezuelan immigrant who entered the United States illegally.
He was an illegal migrant, and he shouldn't have been in our country, and he never would have been under the Trump policy. Biden has implemented a formal policy that illegal aliens who intrude into the United States are granted immunity from deportation.
Biden, who used the word illegal during his State of the Union address to refer to Riley's alleged murderer, later apologized and Saturday defended his own immigration record.
I introduced a comprehensive plan to fix our immigration system, secure our border, provide a pathway for citizens, for dreamers and their families, farm workers, essential workers who helped us through the pandemic and are part of the fabric of our community.
What the weekend remarks of both presidential hopefuls had in common was the sense of urgency for voters to show up at the polls and help them become their respective parties' presidential nominees.
And I ask you to join us on the noble quest of saving our country, saving our country. Together we will turn the page forever on the miserable nightmare of the Biden presidency.
It's a contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of this nation. Between those who want to pull America backwards and those who want to move America to the future.
Hawaii, Mississippi, Washington, and Georgia will be holding primaries on Tuesday. Earning all the delegates at stake, or just a fraction of them, could hand over a presidential nomination win for either candidate. Veronica Valderas Iglesias, VOA News, Washington.
Still to come, Season 4 of the Basketball Africa League tipped off over the weekend in Pretoria. We'll have the highlights after a short break.
When it comes to the entertainment business, it does not get any bigger than Disney.
Leaving an indelible print on networks including BET, ABC, and CNN.
Robert has always been about helping people.
If somebody tells you that there's no bias in the industry, they'd be lying.
Robert takes any and everybody that works for him under their wing.
And we had a pretty young staff at BET. They were very talented. I think the average age back then was in and around 25 years old.
Giving young people opportunities, helping them to discover pathways.
Every day I try to take advantage of being here on Earth and doing something positive because I know I was given another chance.
Health, wellness, sport, beauty, medical breakthroughs. Healthy Living cares about your well-being. What are the main health concerns in Africa and around the world? Find out the latest on coronavirus. Connect with our experts and ask them questions.
How long does the virus stay?
Join me, Lino Khmoudou, in Washington every week on Healthy Living, right here on VOA.
Season 4, rocking with the best. Rocking with the best. Season 4, rocking with the best.
In other news, Chad's junta-appointed Prime Minister Succès Masra-Fordy has announced that he will contest in the presidential election set for May 6th. His announcement comes only days after incumbent President Mahamat Deby announced his candidacy. Masra revealed his election bid at a campaign meeting attended by hundreds of supporters. Burundi's main opposition party has been split after a faction says they ousted its leader, Agathon Rwasa, 60, for failing to unify the two sides. Rwasa was deposed as the head of the suspended National Freedom Council at a general assembly in the north of the country, according to party sources and witnesses. And a U.S. Army ship is on its way to the Mediterranean Sea to start construction of a temporary pier on the Gaza coastline to provide passage for additional truckloads of humanitarian aid to hungry Palestinians. But officials say it could be as long as 2 months before the facility is built and operating. Season 4 of the Basketball African League tipped off on Saturday at SunBet Arena in Pretoria, South Africa, where 4 teams from the continent are scheduled to play 12 games in the first leg of the tournament, known as the Kalahari Conference. In the opening game, FUS Rabat of Morocco came out on top with an 82-73 win against Petro di Luanda of Angola. Then it was Dynamo Basketball Club of Burundi beating South Africa's Cape Town Tigers 86-73 to end an eventful Saturday. On day 2 of play, Burundi's team forfeited its game against Morocco for refusing to comply with the league's rules governing jersey and uniform requirements, as announced by the BAL president Amadou Gallo Fall. But the action didn't stop as the tournament continued, with Petro di Luanda taking the win against the Cape Town Tigers with a final score of 100-88. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, thanks for watching.